Right, so it's that time again. New character, new tier list. I've made a few changes to the tier list with the introduction of Winter Soldier. He's made some characters go down, and some characters I've had to reevaluate and bring a bit higher. There's also been the hero buffs. Those happened in between tier lists, so I had to put them into consideration as well. Without further ado, I'm going to jump straight into it with the D tier, and the D tier is Black Widow, Captain America, and Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel is the worst character in the game. She has a heal, but with every character coming out having a heal and having heals that are better, heals over time, heals and something else, heals and damage, heals and invisibility. It's made Kamala useless, and I think add that in with a average assault, not the worst in the game, but certainly not the best, and the worst ult in the game. I think Kamala, people main her. There's no such thing as a truly bad character in Avengers. The balancing is still pretty good. There's no such thing as power creep yet. There's no such thing as really unusable characters, but Kamala, a lot of the things in her kit, someone has to be the bottom, and I never really choose to play as Kamala. Also add in that she's currently bugged at the moment, where if you have her on your strike team, the game just doesn't work. So that's a thing. Kamala really needs a buff to bring her up to the same level as other characters. She's just not doing the right amount of damage. Her heal, the one thing that she has that's really useful, the one thing she has that's that made her character sing at the start of the game. More and more characters are coming out with heals and with heals that work better than hers. So there's just no point. There's just no point to her. She's kind of been phased out of the meta. She was quite good at launch. Now there's just no reason to play her. Captain America, he's fun to play, but he's not useful in many, if any, circumstances. He doesn't have a grapple hook. He doesn't fly. He doesn't have anything really that makes him useful in a traversal sense. He's got the worst traversal in the game, in my opinion, and he's been outclassed by Bucky coming in and basically having his kit but better. It's a Thor thing all over again. Just Bucky is infinitely better than Cap. Not just better than Cap. He's so much better than Cap. Where in my previous tier list I got blasted for putting putting Thor in D tier and having him the only character in D tier. But I don't think I'm going to get blasted that much for putting Cap in D tier, because even if you main Cap, you have to realise that Bucky is just so much better, leagues better, and he's eclipsed both of the characters that he was supposed to be a hybrid of, but he's so much more than a hybrid character, and I'll get to where Bucky is later. But Cap was never that good from even launch. I always said that he felt like the most fun to play. His rotation and his playstyle and his ults, I think he had some of the some of the cleanest animations. I thought that he was, you know, one of the standouts for how much fun I was having with the game at the start and at launch, but I never was like, he's doing so much better than everyone else. I always thought he was always kind of running up the rear end of the pack, but I kept putting him high because I had fun with him. Now there's a character that plays almost identically to him, not really, but shares moves with him that is so much better and is more fun. I'm having more fun with. So there you go. And rounding out D tier is Black Widow. Black Widow, just there is no place for her in the current meta. And there's another character with invisibility, Bucky, who kind of outclasses her in damage, you know, and his invisibility also doubles as a heal. Hers doesn't, and hers just chooses not to work sometimes. Even if Bucky's invisibility doesn't work, it's still got a heal on it, and that heal will work, and you'll be back at full within seconds. Black Widow doesn't have that. Black Widow doesn't seemingly have a heal outside of what's on the takedowns. So yeah, there you go. She just always has never had that much damage. She can't ramp up as many hits as other characters can. She just doesn't have that thing. She doesn't have that one move that's like, that's gonna melt a boss, or that's gonna do really well against this kind of thing. She doesn't have much AoE. Her assault heroic is the worst in the game, in my opinion, because if you miss an enemy with it, because it's such a small projectile, if you miss an enemy with it, then you're fucked. What they need to do for that assault heroic to work is to make that projectile bigger and to make it homing, or to give us a perk that makes it bigger or makes it homing or fires like multiple. So that is the main reason why, because sometimes her attacks just won't even hit, and it won't even be your fault, because you'll be aiming at an enemy and then you'll fire and then it'll just move. So it's so... Black Widow is a really frustrating character to play, in my opinion. If you go completely into ranged with her, she can work, but there are characters that do the same things as Black Widow and better, and there's characters that can do so much more with like a similar kit and similar playstyle. Going into C tier, Spider-Man. Spider-Man is in C tier wholly because of his heal, and wholly these two kind of are very similar characters in how they play. Their support is basically the same, and I think that their support is really what gets them through, because it's a heal that moves but also does damage at the same time, and then you add that Spider-Man's has like the web effect, which can just hold enemies in place. So building up webbed with Spider-Man is so good, but it doesn't work on bosses. And that's the thing that's always going to drag Spider-Man down, is that in a raid, in a villain sector, in OLT, he's always going to feel like a hindrance more than a help, because the one thing that he's got on his kit that's unique, that would help in that kind of situation, doesn't work. And it would be hard to balance it if it did work on bosses, because then you can just have a boss be completely still. For like 30 seconds, and then in that time they're dead anyway. So, and the thing is with Spider-Man as well, he doesn't really have, outside of his ult and his assault, he doesn't have any real area of effect, AoE. He doesn't really have any AoE. So, and his base combo is very like single target. So, and in a game with so many enemies, like trying to do red room with him sucks. Trying to do horde mode with him sucks. Because building up his heroics, you know, you need some AoE on his base kit, and he doesn't have that. And that's what's really annoying about the character. Black Panther plays very similarly, only he doesn't have the web swinging, so his traversal is just worse than Spidey's. But also he doesn't have the same damage that Spidey does. He doesn't have, you know, an inbuilt stun. Vibranium, I still have very little idea of how that actually works, because the game only describes it as a debuff, but it doesn't actually describe what it does, and that's so annoying because I still don't have any idea what it actually does, and the game is just really bad at describing stuff like that. I think his assault is in the camp of the worst assaults in the game because it's just a projectile that launches forward. Everything else about his kit, his ult is one of the best animations in the game, and summoning the Dora Milaje, that's cool. But yeah, he just doesn't have magic or a spark with his character. He's just kind of, yeah, he's alright. If you play him, you'll have a good time, but, you know, he doesn't do things necessarily that quickly. He's not like a damage powerhouse, and his traversal sucks. So there's not really a place for him in the game. He's kind of the ultimate C-tier character because he's just kind of there. He's not egregiously bad, but he's also, and there's nothing on his kit that, you know, doesn't work or makes him a bad character. He's going to get through content. He's going to do well on pretty much anything. But there's nothing special about the character. There's nothing there that really screams, this is, I've got a cool home. This character's so good. There's nothing on his kit. And for a expansion character, the expansion character should be really unique and fun, and I feel like the most unique thing about him is the ult having a summon on it, but that doesn't really do much when there's a exotic artifact. There's an artifact that summons Hank Pym, so, you know. And that came out before Black Panther did, so having a summon on an ult versus having a summon on an artifact, you know. B tier, I've put Thor here because I feel bad putting him any higher. Even though he is good, there is a character that Jane is Thor, but better. So I still have trouble justifying for anyone to play Thor, because unless Thor gets a buff to make him play differently to Jane in any way that's drastic, I don't feel good putting him in the same tier as Jane, because Jane her ult's so much better, her damage seems tuned up. You know, she just seems faster than Thor in so many ways. Thor is just Jane, but slower, and he doesn't really have the defense to lean into that. And I feel like after the buffs, Thor got kind of shafted, and he's kind of coming out of the meta a bit. He's still a flyer, which makes him good, but when there's a character that does exactly the same as what he does, but better, more damage, higher stats, better ult, you know, there's, and, you know, just crisper, cleaner animations as well. I have a tough time justifying putting Thor higher, even though he is still a good character. He's just outclassed by his Echo. There's just no point to play. There's no point to build up Thor when you can build up Jane. There's just no point. We also have Kate. The argument that I keep seeing about Kate is that Clint is just an Echo Kate, right? No, Clint is... The only similarity between Kate and Clint is that they both use a bow and arrow. You can argue that their projectiles and their ranged is an echo of each other. It's not, but you can technically argue that. But they play completely differently, and their kits are completely different, their animations are completely different and everything. So they're not echoes in any sense of the word. They're just kind of... They just have the same skill set as characters. But Kate is just not very good. I've never seen her be really good. Her traversal is great. Her traversal is the only thing that's better than Clint's. Right? Everything else, so much worse. She doesn't have a bag of tricks style ability. She's just kind of there. She's always been one of those characters that's been there. Even when she came out, I remember people were like, she's good. She was good for that first week, and then people are back to Thor, people are back to Hulk, people are back to Kamala even. After the buffs, I think she's fine, and after the raid, factoring in her traversal, she's great. But the damage isn't there, the AoE certainly isn't there, the assault is good, but Winter Soldier's assault does the same thing, more damage, overall better, more AoE on the actual explosion. So yeah, Kate is just outclassed now. There's still more source to her kit than the characters below, but I just don't think she does enough to get any higher. A tier, we've got Iron Man, Hulk, and Hawkeye. Iron Man, I struggle with, because me personally, I don't like playing as Iron Man. But I understand he's a flyer, so he's automatically going to be at the top for doing like raids and stuff. But defense-wise, he's all over the place. The Hulkbuster is the single best best ultimate in the game. The assault, high damage, but it's just a beam forward. There's no AoE on it. And the support, I still don't know what it does, really. I still don't know what it actually does. But I can understand rocket build is going to melt anything. But also, there's characters coming in that are outclassing Iron Man damage-wise, so he's falling down the ranks. He's falling down the ranks a lot. Iron Man used to be one of my mains. Heck, he used to be my main at launch. So, where does he stand now? Falling down. All we need is like one more flyer, and then he'll be further down the tier list, I think. He's just not great anymore. His damage is still amazing, but I don't think he's got that much else in his kit. His kit doesn't have the source that characters higher in the tier list have. Speaking of that, Hulk's damage is immense. Hulk's AoE is really good. His ult, so good. The only thing with Hulk that makes him stay in A tier and not move up any higher is he feels really sluggish and slow to play, especially when so many other characters, to do their like bag of tricks move or to do their like really high damage move, it's holding down square. At least that's what's implanted into your mind when you're playing a character like Jane Foster Thor or Odinson Thor. That's implanted into your mind, and even like Bucky now, but he's only been in the game for a few days, so he's just not necessarily outclassed damage wise, but just for ease of use and ease of play. Holding down square is just grabbing enemies, and he can only do that to small enemies. And 95% of the time you're going to be fighting Adaptoids, you're going to be fighting Dreadbots, you're going to be fighting Exos, you're going to be fighting bosses, you know, and he can't do that against them. So half the time you're going to be trying to grab fucking Maestro, and he's just going to be standing there doing this, trying to grab Maestro, and it's not going to work. And you're just going to be stuck in this animation loop, and it's just, and then you're dead. So yeah, Hulk, he really could be, if they fix that and they take away the grab and they replace it with something else, or they make the grab a different button, then I'll probably ramp him up higher. His traversal as well needs a buff. Traversal buffs are coming soon, so I don't know what they're going to do for some of the non-flyers, but for Hulk, he needs like a super leap. He needs to be able to clear like, or to have like a ultimate destruction style like jump, which clears like absolute kilometers of space. He should be able to match the speed of the flyers, and he's not at the moment. We then have at the top of A tier Hawkeye. Hawkeye's being outclassed, and the reason why he's being outclassed is because characters are now coming out with their own bag of tricks style move, where it's just doing heaps of damage. And the thing about Hawkeye's is it was the first, and it kind of brought in this meta of, you know, tons of hits over time, tons of damage, a little bit of AoE put in there as well. And then you've got characters like Winter Soldier coming out, and they've got similar bag of tricks style moves, but they've got added AoE, and they're hitting like the entire room with tons of hits, with like 20-30 hits, and it's insane the amount of damage that Winter Soldier can get out. Hawkeye is still good because he's got the heal, he's got a really good assault, he's got a really good ult, he's got a really good ult, and you know, he's still really fun to play, really fluid. His traversal needs a bit of work, but I don't know what else you're going to be able to do. Maybe like a magnet arrow. I don't know what to do with Hawkeye for traversal. I think it's as good as it's going to get. But for Hawkeye, I think to bring him back into the meta, you need to bump up his damage, because you have the thing where every character got buffed, right? But Hawkeye got nothing. Hawkeye didn't get anything with the character buffs. That's speaking to how good he was before, but also now everyone's being buffed around him and he's not, so he's going to start slipping the more characters get introduced and the more characters get buffed. So then we're going into S tier, and Bucky's S tier, man. Winter Soldier is S tier. You can't deny the videos you're seeing on Twitter, you know, the amount of damage he's doing, even when you just boot up the game and you go in, and he's doing in the thousands at level 1. You know, the amount of damage that you can get off with Winter Soldier is immense. Like I said, he's got the AoE. He's an absolute menace when it comes to AoE. He's just got attacks going off left, right, and center, and he's jumping around. He's doing everything. His traversal is Black Widow's traversal, so it gets the job done, right? He's not a flyer, but he's doing well enough. I think if there was anything that he lacked, it would be a heal built in. The heal is like a perk for one of his for his support. It's like one of the options for his support to have it heal. So it's either you choose it heals you, or it makes the whole team invisible, or another thing that no one's choosing. But the heal is infinitely better because it means you live. It means you survive. Because, like I said, the invisibility, even if the invisibility doesn't work, like, you'll go invisible but enemies can still target you. Even if that part of the support doesn't work, you'll still have a heal, and that's gonna get you out of slippy situations when you need it. He's not only does he have one bag of trick style move, he's got 2, and his ranged is insane. The amount of damage you can put out with going down a ranged build, immense. And he's actually built to be good at melee as well. Doing a melee build, doing a tank build. You can build Winter Soldier however you want to. He's the first character that's actually got options with how you build him, and that's so refreshing. And then obviously the best character in the game is Jane still. She's just Thor, but better. And Thor was the best character in the game. But now Jane is just everything Thor was, with a better ult on top, with a better ranged on top, faster, better stats, a better ass to look at, everything. It's just Thor with boobs, and who doesn't want Thor with boobs? Come on. I can't. There is nothing bad with Jane's kit outside of it being a complete echo of Thor. And some people will say it's funny how you put the 2 echoes in S tier, even though you don't like echoes. One, Winter Soldier's not an echo. He's a hybrid. He's a hybrid character. He takes elements of multiple other characters and adds his own things in as well. And overall, the outward product is infinitely better. It's when it's like so imagine Captain America and Black Widow are 2 slices of bread, right? Captain America, Black Widow, 2 slices of bread. And then you've got Spider-Man is like lettuce. Spider-Man is lettuce. You know, Black Panther is like the tomato, and then Kate and Clint are like each a rasher of bacon. You've got this BLT, right? And then Winter Soldier is the BLT sandwich of all of these characters meshed together, and he's got ketchup and mayo put on top as well. So ultimately, you can have the bread in its individual parts. You can have the lettuce on its own. You can have the tomato on its own. You can have the 2 rashers of bacon on their own. The 2 rashers of bacon will be the only thing that tastes nice on their own. Or you can put them all in the sandwich. You can put sauce on top, and that's what Winter Soldier is. He is the BLT sandwich to all of the ingredients. Jane is just that BLT sandwich already made, but she's got like mayo on top. No ketchup, just mayo. It's still a very tasty sandwich, but it tastes almost identical to what Jane is the Waitrose version of Thor. She's like the premium version. There's nothing different, but you can tell there's more quality in there, and it's slightly bigger. Oh well, that's the tier list. Rounding it out, D tier: Kamala, Cap, Black Widow. C tier: Spider-Man, Black Panther. B tier: Thor and Kate. A tier: Iron Man, Hulk, Hawkeye. S tier: Bucky and Jane. I think I've pretty much nailed it on the head. Maybe somewhere in the middle. Those middle characters, especially C and B, and even D, are interchangeable. Because like I said, there is no character that's truly awful. And especially after the buffs, every character now has a use, and everyone can main someone different. But I think that S tier is clearly the peak. But I think now, going forward, the next character needs to completely change how the game is played. There needs to be something wacky, some surprises with the kit, some, super cool animations. I would love this game to come out of the support, assault, ultimate, heroic kind of thing. If that's what the game wants to do going forward, that's fine. I don't think it's the best way to go about it, but also treating the game like an actual RPG, like Marvel Heroes, would be impossible for a game like this. So I think what they have is fine, but I would love to see an evolution of that going into next year. Whether we see any more characters or not, we're definitely going to see character buffs come before the next character. Hopefully those come in January, and hopefully in February we get some note or something, some tease, or even just a fucking trailer for She-Hulk. And I've been saying this in my streams. I really want She-Hulk to go full in on her fourth wall breaking and everything, because we're never going to see Deadpool in this game. We're not. So we might as well have She-Hulk be the Deadpool for this game. So go cartoony, go as as like off the wall as you wish, and have fun, because that's what this game needs. It needs an injection of just fun. I want She-Hulk to feel like the She-Hulk in the show. As much as that show wasn't amazing, I want She-Hulk to be more of a comedic, funny character and have that replicated in her kit. I don't really care much about the wrestling moves. She can have some, but I would care more if her being a lawyer and her being her breaking the fourth wall was replicated in a kit more than the wrestling stuff, because wrestling is generic. It's so generic, and we don't want She-Hulk to feel generic. And the last thing we need, after two Echo characters and two characters that were very derivative of characters that already came before, we need something that completely changes the game, and we need something that shakes up the meta more than this, because I was trying to make this tier list, and I was like, all of these characters just feel so similar, and they all do similar things. Everyone's got a heal, everyone's got, you know, some kind of unique status effect to them, unless if you round out the bottom tier and they've got nothing. The bottom tiers, especially D tier, they've got nothing to them. So yeah, we need someone that's really going to shake the meta. If there is a new character coming, which fingers crossed there is, and fingers crossed they actually get some kind of promotion, not just in game or on Twitter. Make an ad for them. Put some money into promoting this game and promoting things that are going to happen in this game. I remember when Kate came out and there was actually ads running before YouTube videos of Avengers, and there was like ads on the TV for the next like operation, and it's like, why are we not seeing that again? No, Destiny can put, you know, can put Lightfall on a bus stop window, then I think Avengers can do the same. And more people are going to be like, hey, that's a Marvel thing. They're not going to... Most people aren't going to look into the Twitter archives or going to look into the YouTube archives and see people being like, Avengers is kind of bad. It's kind of bad. They're not going to look at that. They're going to look at, that's an Avengers thing. I like Marvel. I like Iron Man. I want to play as Iron Man. And hey, they've got what's this? She-Hulk. They're going to get into the game. What's this? A raid. What's this? What's this? You know, that's kind of the target audience, is like the normie the normie, like popcorn Jane or whatever. So yeah, bring those in. Actually promote your game. When She-Hulk comes out, get fucking Tatiana Maslany to actually like play the game with a YouTuber, like what Ryan Reynolds did with Jacksepticeye, or even Tom Holland did with Jacksepticeye. I know Sean has gone on record to say that he doesn't really care about this game, but you give someone a chance to play the game with, you know, someone from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, then, and paycheck, you know, that can change things. So yeah, I think that kind of promotion is what you need to do, not just here's an advert on the Marvel Entertainment YouTube channel, here's a thing on here, and here's our here's our racist fucking head of development talking about how much he hates people that hate on his game. Oh man, that's annoying. That pisses me off that the CD came out and said we're not going to let Brian do any more promotional stuff or talk about the game on Twitter anymore, and literally the next day, as soon as Winter Soldier comes out, Brian's like, yeah, Winter Soldier, woohoo. It's just like, shut up, go away, no one wants to hear from you. Just no one liked you before, no one likes you now, go away. Yeah, I hopefully you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below if you agree with my list. If you disagree, let me know who you would have put in the S, A, B, C or D tiers. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.